Hello and welcome to Bud's Home Automation and Repairs. Today I'm excited to show you a very neat garage door automation. This automation checks the status of my two garage doors at 20 minutes before sunset. I have a garage man door in the rear of my garage, and I also have a two-car overhead garage door. When the automation rule verifies the status of each door, the situation is confirmed by way of a verbal announcement on my family room Echo Dot. This automation rule is also set up to automatically close my overhead garage door if it's found to be open. If the rear man door is found to be open, the Echo device reminds me to close and secure the door. I'll show you the devices, the apps, and the automation rules needed to make this cool automation happen. That's up next. This channel focuses on home automation and repair projects. If you are a do-it-yourself person, or if you want to learn how to be a DIY person, particularly in the areas of home automation and repair projects, then I'm sure you'll enjoy the content that I present on this channel. Take a moment now to click on those subscribe and notification buttons so that you'll be sure to be notified of any new topics. Let's start with an explanation of the four possible states of my garage doors, and I'll follow that with a demonstration of the automation rules so you'll see it actually in action. So having two doors, there are four possible situations or states. First, both doors could be closed. Second, both doors could be open. Third, the overhead only may be open while the man door is closed. Fourth, the man door may be open while the overhead door is closed. Because the automation rule needs to discover one of the four possible outcomes, I decided to use a new variable feature in the SharpTools application. The SharpTools routine is written to check the status of the two doors and then assign a true-false status to each of two garage door variables. I use one variable for the overhead door and a second variable for the garage man door. So as an example, to determine the status of the overhead door, the SharpTool rule checks the position of my garage door tilt sensor. If the tilt sensor is found to be open, then the variable is assigned a status of true, meaning that the garage door is open. Otherwise, the overhead garage door variable is assigned a status of false. Next, the rule examines the man door and assigns a true or false value based on whether the door is open or closed. After assigning values to the two garage door variables, it is then just a matter of using those variables to trigger actions based on the status of the two doors. So if both variables are false, no action is necessary because a false status on both variables signals that both doors are closed. However, if either door is open, then a particular action needs to occur based on the actual status. So one additional action that I'm able to perform in the SharpTools app is to trigger the overhead door to close if the door is found open. I'm able to automate my overhead door because I added a Z-Wave momentary contact relay to my garage door opener. I've featured my garage door setup in a former video. I'll leave a link above if you want to watch that video. The first half of that video is dedicated to showing you the relay switch that I'm referring to. It's a Go Control contact momentary relay switch that I use on my Genie garage door opener. I also provide much more detail about how I wired that relay switch to my garage door opener, and that's listed on my website. So if you want to check out the specifics on the wiring, you go to www.oddjobsforbud.com. I'll leave a link in the description below. Let's go ahead and get into a demonstration of the routine. To do this demonstration, I'm using my iPad. And on the iPad, I have the SharpTools dashboard. And the neat thing about the SharpTools app is that it has two features. It has a dashboard, but it also has the rule engine. When you create rules, you can add the rules to a dashboard, and then you can test the rules. The blue tiles that you see are rules. So they're the four rules that I created in the SharpTools dashboard, and I'm going to use them for testing purposes. Basically what happens at 20 minutes before sunset is that it'll run these routines in sequence. So it'll start by setting the variables, and if it finds that both doors are closed, it'll make a statement to that fact. Then if it doesn't find both doors closed, it'll continue to run the next 3 routines. It'll check to see if both doors are open, then it'll check to see if the man door only is open, and then it'll also check to see if the overhead door is open. So depending on which one of these routines is true, then it'll give the appropriate response to the echo dot that you see down here. The black tiles, these are my 2 sensors on my various doors. The first tile, the garage tilt sensor, will tell me the state of the garage door. So right now it's currently closed. When either of these sensors open, this tile will turn red. So both doors are closed right now. You see the second tile is for the garage man door, and it is closed as well. This black tile with the little light bulb on it is my garage door opener. It's the momentary switch that I spoke of earlier. So if I would press this tile right now, it would change color, indicating that the switch is active, and it'll stay on for a second or 2, and then it'll turn off. So that's the push button to open or close the garage door. And basically it doesn't matter whether the garage door is open or closed. When you push that button, it's going to start the garage door opener, and the garage door opener will stop when it hits the limit switch. If it's closing, it'll stop when it hits the closed limit switch, and if it's opening, it'll stop when it hits the open limit switch. So hopefully that's understandable. I think you'll see it as we play out. You'll see the tiles change and you'll have a better understanding of what's going on. So let's go ahead and try the first scenario. You see I have the overhead garage door closed, and over here you see I have my rear man door closed as well. So with both of those doors in the closed state, let's go ahead and set variables. And as you recall, I told you if both doors are closed, as you see indicated here, it'll verify that in this first routine, and then it'll continue to run the other routines irrespective of whether it found true state in these variables. So let's set the variables.
Both garage doors are confirmed to be closed.
Okay, now let's open both doors and we'll run the routine again, starting with setting the variables and then going down through the tiles, and we'll see how the echo device reacts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my panel to open the garage door using the garage door opener switch. You'll see the tilt sensor open, and while that's opening, I'm going to hop over and open the man door, so you'll see that one open as well. Let's give that a try. Okay, now you see both doors are open. Let's go ahead and set variables, and then we'll press the button, both doors open.
Both garage doors were found open. The overhead door is now being closed. Be sure to close and lock the garage man door.
Okay, so as you see, both doors were found open, and the momentary switch was triggered to close the overhead garage door, and the man door is still open as indicated by the message, and I just need to go and close that. So for this next routine, since the garage man door is open but the overhead door is down as indicated, we're going to go ahead and set variables and check for that state. So I'll start with setting the variables, checking for both doors. Now let's check for the man door open.
The overhead garage door is closed. However, the garage man door is still open. You must close and lock the man door.
So it did verify that it found the overhead garage door closed, but that the man door was still open and I needed to lock and secure it. So let's try the last scenario. That's the overhead door open only. So I'm going to go ahead and open that using the switch on the panel. And while I'm doing that, then I will go over and close the man door so that we can test that routine. Here we go. Okay, as indicated by the panel, the garage door is now open and the garage man door is closed. So let's test that scenario. We'll set the variables to reflect that state. Check both doors and we get no response. Check the rear man door to see if it's open. No response there. We'll try the last routine.
The overhead garage door was found open and is now being closed. The man door is closed. Remember to verify that the garage man door is locked.
So there you have it. Now we're back to the state where both doors are closed. So if I would check that state by hitting set variables.
Both garage doors are confirmed to be closed.
So the rules are working as they should in this routine. And I'd like next to show you how this is set up in the SharpTools app. But prior to doing that, I had promised to tell you about both the devices needed for this routine as well as the apps that I used. So we'll do that and then we'll get into the routine. Okay, prior to showing you how to set up this routine in SharpTools, I promised to talk about the devices and the apps needed to make this automation work. First of all, with all these devices that I'm going to mention, I will leave a link below, so if you want to source those, you will be able to. I use, of course, the Smartthings hub. In addition to the hub, I use several devices. One is a momentary contact relay switch. The brand that I'm using is Go Control, but there are other brands that may work, and I referenced those in that former video that I talked about. The momentary contact relay switch is wired into my garage door opener, and again, it acts as a push button to start the garage door opener. I also use an Echolink tilt sensor, and that's mounted on my garage door. If you have an additional door like I do and you want to also determine the status of that door, you'll need an additional Smartthings multi-purpose sensor to use as a contact sensor on that door. And then you'll need one or more Echo devices. And the Echo devices, of course, are used to make the announcements. As far as apps that I use the Smartthings app, of course, and also the Amazon Alexa app, use of the free SharpTools app. You can make unlimited rules, and I use the rule engine for my more complex applications. And also you'll need the free Echo Speaks app. You can obtain the free Echo Speaks app on the Smartthings community site. And I reference this community app in several of my former videos, and I will leave links in the description below. What the Echo Speaks app does, it brings your Echo devices into your Smartthings and also your SharpTools environment so that you can use them in routines and do such things as have them make announcements regarding the status of your various home devices. So I'd highly recommend that you install Echo Speaks, and the best way to install that is through the community installer. I have a link that I'll leave below, and also I'll leave a link above where you can access my video on how to install the community installer. Once you get that in place, it'll install all the community apps, make it a lot easier for you to set up. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and install the community installer app so that you can bring in Echo Speaks. Okay, with that, let's talk a little bit about SharpTools. So if you're unfamiliar with SharpTools, I have a great overview video that explains what it can do for Smartthings users. I also have a video that provides the step-by-step instructions to get Smartthings connected with SharpTools. The most important thing to know about SharpTools is that it's a free application that includes a dashboard wherein you can monitor the status of your Smartthings devices. And additionally, it provides you with the ability to make unlimited rules to control your Smartthings devices. So now let's go ahead and look at how this routine is set up. So here we are in my SharpTools account. Where I want to go is into the rule engine, and as I mentioned, if you sign up for a free subscription to SharpTools, you can make unlimited rules. So that's a pretty good deal. Now on the dashboard side, you're limited to a single dashboard with, I believe, 15 tiles, unless you purchase the paid subscription. But even with that, if you have a small smart home ecosystem, either in Smartthings or Habitat, either one, this is a good deal because of the rule engine side. As you can see, I have several rules set up here. The ones we want to focus on are these 4 here. As I mentioned, these run in succession, and the way they do that is I use sunset as a trigger for all of these. However, I stagger the start times. In other words, this one starts 20 minutes before sunset, then 19, 18, and 17. I believe I spaced them about a minute apart. So it starts with setting the variables, check the status of the garage doors, and then assigning true or false to whether or not the doors are opened or closed. So let's go ahead and get into this first routine. I'm going to click on that. So we're going to set variables, and the trigger again is 20 minutes before sunset. And if you never set these up before, they're very straightforward. If you go in here, you see I just selected an offset of 20 minutes before. So every day 20 minutes before sunset at my home, that will be the thing that starts the flow or starts the actions to begin. So we'll go ahead and hit update on that. Now, my flow starts with a condition, and this is true in each one of my rules. So it's the same in rule number 2, 3, and 4. And when you set these conditions up, if you have more than one condition, you can say that all these must be satisfied or any of these must be satisfied. In my case, if you where I select any, instead of seeing and down here, you'll see or. So what it means is if either of these are true, then execute this side. Otherwise, or else, execute this side. So in this case, let's assume that both contact sensors, the garage door sensor on the overhead door and also the contact sensor on the man door, let's assume they're both closed. So it's going to check, is the garage tilt sensor indicate that the door is open? No, it's false. Does the man door contact sensor indicate that the door is open? No, that's false. So because those are both false, it's going to go to my echo dot, and it's going to execute the play announcement, and it's going to say both garage doors are confirmed to be closed, and then it goes down and sets my 2 variables to false. And that's important because, as I mentioned, routines number 2, 3, and 4 are going to run, and so they need to know that both doors are closed so that nothing happens. Otherwise, you're going to get a repeat announcement. So that's how that side works. Let's assume that either the garage tilt sensor is open or the man door is open. So if either one of those are open, it's going to go down this side. It's first going to check the tilt sensor, and now let's keep in mind that the only purpose of this first routine is to set the variables. So it's checking the tilt sensor. If it finds the tilt sensor open, it's going to set the variable, which I titled garage overhead open, to true. Otherwise, if it's closed, it's going to set the overhead garage door variable to false. So remember, up here, the rule only knows that one of these are open. It doesn't know which one. So we have to check both sensors. So let's assume that the man door is open, but the garage door is closed. So in that case, this part of the routine would assign a false to the garage overhead door open. Then it would go down and check the man door to see if that contact sensor is open. So it looks at the man door, and it does find the contact sensor open. So the variable for man door open would be true, and man door closed would be false. So what it says is check that contact sensor, and if the man door is open, then assign true to this variable, otherwise assign false. Now, I didn't mention, if we go all the way to the top here, This is where you select your variables or create your variables. To create a variable, it's pretty simple. You just put in the variable name and then you select the type. For these, I've selected true to false type. And then you hit create, and that's how easy it is. So I created one for the man door and then one for the overhead door. The way the overhead door determines whether the door is open or not, it uses the tilt sensor. So it checks the tilt sensor. If the tilt sensor is open, then it sets this variable garage overhead open to true. Otherwise, it sets it to false. And again, the man door checks the contact sensor on the door, and if the contact sensor says the door is open, it assigns true. Otherwise, it sets it at false. So, going back up to the flow here, the first part of it, this condition determines whether either sensor is open. If one or the other sensor is open, it determines which sensor, and then it sets the variables here either to true or false. If neither door is open, then it confirms that on the echo dot, and then it sets both of these variables to false, meaning that both doors are closed. So we're done with this routine here. We can hit save. We go to the next routine. So now that the variables are set, it's just a matter of going through and checking to determine what state exists. So let's assume that both doors were open. So in that case, in the prior routine or rule, it would have assigned true to both of those variables. So as you see, this routine runs at 19 minutes before sunset. So 1 minute after the first routine ran, then this routine would run. Remember now, both of the variables are set to true. So in this flow, the first thing that happens is you'll see that it checks to make sure that either one of those variables are true. And since both doors are open, they'll both be true. So if any of these are true, then it's going to go ahead and execute this side. If neither are true, then it's going to do nothing. So I'll get no announcement. And you saw that happen when I demonstrated the routine. So since both doors are open, it's going to look at this first and it's going to ask, is the garage overhead open true? And so they both must be true. And is the man door open true? So as I mentioned, we're going to assume that both doors were open. So both of those would be true. And in that case, we're going to execute a garage door push command. This is going to close the garage door. So to set this up, all you do is select the device, which is the garage door opener, and we're going to select the command to push it. So that pushes the button on that momentary switch. So we're going to close the garage door, and then we're going to make the announcement. And to make these announcements, it's pretty straightforward. You just select the device, which is the Echo Dot in my family room. You select the command, play announcement, and then you put in the announcement that you want to play. So what I say in that case is both garage doors were found open. The overhead door is now being closed. Be sure to close and lock the garage man door. So that one's all set to go. So let's save that routine. We're done with number 2. Let's go to number 3. So number 3 checks the man door. Again, this is in succession, so this starts at 18 minutes before sunset. So it again checks to see if either condition is true, either variable has a true value, and if in the first routine we determined that the overhead door was closed but the man door was open, then when this condition ran, it would see that this one was false but this one is true. So it would allow this side of the flow to run. Otherwise, if neither were true, it would do nothing. So we needed to check the first variable. The garage overhead door open is false and the man door open is true. So if that is the state of the doors, We have no need to close the overhead door because it's already closed. So all we need to do is make an announcement regarding the back door. So again, we use the family Echo Dot to play an announcement, and the announcement is that the overhead garage door is closed. However, the garage man door is still open. You must close and lock the man door. So that one's pretty straightforward. And let's look at the last routine then. So this is where the only possible state could be is that the overhead door is open but the man door is closed. That's the fourth scenario. Again, running in succession, this is triggered at 17 minutes before sunset. And again, checks to make sure that one of these variables are true. In this case, the overhead man door would be true, but the back door would be false. Because it found the true variable, it's going to run this side of the flow, and it's going to say, check the overhead garage door variable and find that it is true. And it's going to go down, and it's going to then make the announcement. The overhead garage door is found open and is now being closed. The man door is closed. Remember to verify that the garage man door is locked. And then it's going to go to the garage door opener, and that's actually that momentary switch, and it's going to push that switch so that the door could close. And that's it. That's how these rules are set up to be able to go through and perform those announcements. So hopefully you found this helpful. I enjoyed doing it. It's a nice routine that helps remind me to make sure that everything's buttoned up before bedtime. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If there are routines that you're struggling with in Sharp Tools, let me know about those, and perhaps I'll make a video on that. Chances are, if you're struggling with it, there might be others that are struggling as well. Well, thank you for watching today, and we'll see you next time.